No matter how high-tech, highfalutin, lazy, or foo-foo America gets, we will never stop hunting and fishing. This is The Hunting Quest. The Hunting Quest. We take 1 hour of every week and talk about our favorite things in the world, hunting and fishing. You'll get tips and help on the fishing environment America gets in the DMV area. Plus, we're going to have fun along the way. This is The Hunting Quest. And now your hosts, Mike Tippin and Mark Davis.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. And as you can see, Mark Davis is playing the sickly one. So we don't want him coming in here getting people sick and doing all that other wonderful stuff. So, Mark, hope you start feeling better soon. And, we'll be able to do the podcast. And a couple little things about that, so everybody is aware, is next Friday we will not be doing a podcast. Obviously, it's the day after Thanksgiving. Anna's, the store is, y'all are going to be open, right? Yeah, they're going to do Black Friday stuff, and they're going to be swamped. So we don't, we get to use this spot, and but it is their business, so. It's pretty cool. I'm really, really glad that that the business is good. And, Friday, you said you got like Black Friday sales and all that stuff, right?
Website.
It's on the website?
Yeah, we're having an online Black Friday sale.
Okay, cool.
And that is listed on our Facebook page and on our website.
All right. And the website is davisgunsandgear.com?
That is it.
All right. Well, and that kind of leads me to the next part of why, no, we don't do this. We don't do this podcast solo. You don't want to just listen to me talk. And Anna's super awesome doing, helping out with with her part of this stuff. So we asked for a guest to kind of stand in for Mark while he's out sick. And we had the video set up and we had everything working. And then all of a sudden, we're not real sure, but the gremlins got a hold of us this time. And we lost the video feed. But the reason on this coming up Saturday on the 26th, we're going to go duck hunting. And we're going to go out with our good friend Travis. And so because of that, we've asked Travis to join us on the call and kind of co-host. So without further ado, welcome, Travis. How are you, sir?
Brother man, Mikey, the Mondo Slayer Tippin. Here we go. We're going to go from snakehead to greenhead.
Never at a loss for words, my friend. So glad that you came on last minute, man. You definitely bailed me out tremendously. So thank you for coming on, and thanks for doing this. Sorry for the glitches on the video part. We really want people to see that magnificent beard that you got going on there. But it should inspire them to go out and check out all of your social media and see that monstrous beard that you got. I mean, you make mine look puny. So, but how you been, man?
For another going a mile a minute, brother man. But we just had the opening day of the second opening day, I should say. The second split, our little Thanksgiving November hunting season for ducks and geese just opened up on Wednesday. And so we're right about to get into the first weekend with some haymakers. This cold temperature, brother man, it's got everybody here fired up. And we
Tell me about it.
Oh yeah, brother, you know it.
Yeah, I was out in Kansas and Missouri doing some deer hunting, and we got a monstrous cold snap out there. And what was really cool about that was that started hearing the specks fly. And I don't care what anybody says. That just puts something on you right there. You know, if you're at the least bit into waterfowl hunting, or you hear those specks going, and it's just, oh, here it is. It's that time. Everybody kind of gets amped up and ready to go, and life is great. So, it was kind of cool. You know, I was really, really excited, and so now I'm back here, and I'm going to be able to finally get to do some hunting with you on Saturday. So I'm excited. So.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a blast, Mikey. You know, real quick about them speckle bellies. There's only a few birds that'll make a group of hunters while they're, like, say, for example, working a group of geese.
Yep.
And everybody's, calling at the Canada geese and whatnot, or dark geese, or whatever you call them from whatever part of the country you're hunting them. And long necks, calling in a big old group of long necks. Here we go.
Yep.
And then you hear one giggle chicken, Mikey. You know it. And then it's like everybody starts calling at things back.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They are and I tell people, if you've never eaten a speck, those specks, to me, probably the best tasting waterfowl on the planet out of all of them. Now, most, I have to caveat something here too, is I hunt in the Midwest fly zone. So those specks and the geese and the ducks that I hunt there haven't been on golf courses. They've been in cornfields and cow ponds and all of that stuff. So, their diets are pretty much grubs and corn and, all of that stuff. So it's a different taste when they get this far east, but man, they still taste good. They by far.
Absolutely. You're right. A diet has a lot to do with how fowl tastes. And, if it's something where you're shooting some local resident birds eating out of the river and the golf course greens with all the pesticides or whatever they're spraying on their courses and whatnot, or whatever's in the local water and whatnot and everything else. I mean, and then if you go up to, Saskatchewan, Canada, or you go out west in Kansas or Nebraska or Nodak or South Dakota, how amazing, like Lester's out there. They taste amazing.
They do.
Lesser Canada geese. Oh my God, it's unbelievable how good they are. Or like over here, I'm like, all right, we're gonna make some jalapeno poppers. We're gonna do some, goose barbecue for 8 hours with some Dr. Pepper in that something.
Anything.
Got any Sweet Baby Ray's? Here we go.
There you go. Exactly. And that's kind of one of those things where it's kind of unique. Again, I've been fortunate enough to be able to hunt out west and really get, the difference, taste a huge difference in what what an animal consumes is, directly related to how well it tastes on your table. So I think that's neat. I don't know. It's one of those ideas or one of those things in my head where it's just kind of like, oh man, what else can you do to these things? What are ducks that are like for example, up in Saskatchewan? I've never been there, so it's on my bucket list, and I understand you've been up there, and I understand that you've hunted quite a bit, and you're kind of stretching out that way, and you kind of alluded to it, but how much of a difference do they taste? I mean, obviously lessers, but Canada geese and things like that. What can you notice a significant difference up there as well?
Oh, absolutely. The biggest thing is we have hunters all the time come in, and they'll kind of, especially from the Atlantic Flyway, East Coast hunters, they'll, what do you mean we're going to eat these snow geese we just shot this morning? And I tell you what, I mean, I've had some snows over there in the Eastern Shore and whatnot. And yeah, you got to brine them, you got to soak all of the, blood out, you got to, beat them over the, with a hickory stick or something and slap them with a cedar plank. I don't know the joke anymore. Go to Chick-fil-A, right?
Right.
So, but oh my God, up there in Canada, the snow geese and Ross geese and blue geese, they taste amazing.
Yeah.
And so, now as far as speckle bellies go, I've had them out in Illinois, and they're pretty much the same in my taste. I mean, and dude, you don't need to really, you don't need to do a lot to a speckle belly, where other birds you may have to, brine them, or you may have to cut them up and pound them and tenderize them or something, put them in some poppers. One thing I like doing with the local resident geese real quick is you make them into sausages, but the the cheese moistens it up, my guy.
Really?
And it's stellar. So now ducks up there, absolutely amazing. Sometimes down here in, the Virginia area, for example, gadwalls, you might find 1 out of 6 gadwalls where it's kind of, whoa. People say diver ducks are hard to eat. Yeah, some of them you may got to know how to do it, but cans, oh my God, Mikey, canvasbacks are the best out of all the ducks, even puddle ducks.
You think so?
Oh my God! Now teal and wood ducks are amazing. In my opinion, they are the best puddle ducks. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say I'm right there with you on that one. The teals, as far as teals go, they taste amazing. I don't care. But
you keep the fatty skin on one side, you store it, you put that side down on a hot black skillet, oh my God, just unbelievable.
Making me hungry.
And, but no. So canvasbacks, I'll always pluck them, and cooking them whole, it is just unbelievable. There's a reason why they were the market hunter's duck. So
do you roast them, or do you have you ever, I mean, what's your deal? You throw them in the oven for 350 for an hour, or do you throw them on a smoker, or do you grill them, or what's your
Yeah. So the old recipes that me and Pops used to do was we would definitely brown them out on the grill, and then this is for mallards or anything too, any whole duck,
right?
You get like a little garlic, salt and pepper paste. You mash it all up, and then you just roast and brown them for a little bit on the grill, and then you throw them in the oven. And then he's actually got a apricot glaze sauce that you kind of base them with, and then that was, oh my God, it's stellar. That recipe my dad has. He actually got out of one of those old school books that you can't really find anymore unless you call Bezos and Amazon and they've got a copy or something. You know how it is.
Right.
Yep. So, but he's been smoking the duck's hole a lot now. And you know how everybody's got their pellets and their different pit bosses or their green eggs or whatever, and to each his own.
Yeah, I'm a Kamado Joe guy, but that's okay. That's what I could afford.
Yeah, I'll let the guys who want to do all that do it, and then I'll eat it. I'll be like, oh, man,
right?
But
we started doing these things. We called them goose bites, and basically you breast out breast out a goose, and you let it sit in Tony Saturan's, right? Pour some the liquid Frank's Red Hot, something like that. Let it sit in your refrigerator, and just kind of soak up some of that goodness. And we've also tried it with like Dr. Pepper or something like that, But throw it in the refrigerator, and then you cube up. Once you kind of get it nice and where you think you got it just right, you cube it up, and then wrap each one of those cubes in bacon. Toothpick it at the end, throw it on the grill, and man, the one thing I'm kind of a crispy bacon person. I don't like chewy bacon, but that's just me. I'm not going to, so I leave mine on just a little bit longer than most folks do and kind of roll it around, or even if I can pre-start it, so mine's a little bit crispier than most, but it doesn't, pin it together, take a big bite, and oh my goodness, is that heaven. It just, you couldn't ask for anything better than that. And I know people who take some type of cheese, whether it's Parmesan, mozzarella, whatever they want, and they throw it over the top of those goose bites. But man, those are absolutely delicious. I'm a major fan of that. So, but I'm not opposed to sitting there and taking some of this stuff and like my wife and I were kind of talking about this, and grinding up I've got a grinder at home, get some of the, whenever you're breasting them out or, you've taken, if you get a puddle duck or something like that, I've seen people throw those away. And to me, wasting food as somebody who grew up, we were dirt poor and we were hungry, if you've never been hungry before, like truly hungry, you don't let food go to waste. And I've seen people, take ducks and just, toss them over to the side and throw them out, and it's for the sake of shooting ducks. And I have a hard time with that. I really do. And some of the things that, like my wife and I were talking about, if it's a puddle duck and we shot it, and we're not, I'm not going to shoot something I'm not going to eat. So we'll take them and, dress them down, and you can take them, throw them in a grinder, grind them up, and mix them in, and like we do like dog food, right? We'll mix dog food or whatever. Man, there's nothing better, and nothing's going to waste. So something to kind of think about there too. So I don't know.
Absolutely. There's up in Canada, there's a lot of different man, I tell you what I'm trying to get to is what everybody is going up there for when it comes to table fare. The old ribeye of the sky, the sandhill crane, the freaking pterodactyls. I'm talking Jurassic Park style hunting, my guy.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, And now what they say, the ribeye of the sky.
That's what they say.
I agree. That's a cool little, rhyme.
Yeah. It's true.
Man, I tell you what, it's like the best tasting duck you've ever had. But the consistency of a New York strip, brother, man.
Oh man.
I know, dude. And like, I'm a big porterhouse steak guy. So,
right.
like,
yeah, there you go.
New York strip. Dude, man, I'm telling you. And like, that right there, the hunt, it's freaking ridiculous. And, you got the hide just over the top, brushed up, and you hear them coming in like freaking aliens, and you just, it's one experience that has to be done. A lot of people want to shoot variety up there. A lot of people want to shoot piles of snow geese, shoot field green heads, nothing but green and all that. But the crane hunts, holy smokes, my guy, that is some fun stuff right there.
Yeah, it's funny that, I've been around people who, all they want to do is shoot greenheads. That's it. And, you might have,
they got good taste.
They do, but I mean, I've seen it where these people, they come in and they have no desire to eat them. And it's like, they just want to shoot greenheads. Yeah. I've never in my life understood that. I mean, obviously there's a market for it, but, and I've seen where, a lot of the guides that I go with, and, I assume you're probably the same way, is, if they're not going to take the ducks with them, then, you've got to figure out something to do with them. And, the guides up there.
It's a big problem, man, if that happens. Because then they can go and do that elsewhere. They're not doing it with me.
Right. Right. So. And I got a lot of respect for people who, a lot of guides will take people just for the sake of taking them, the true guides that are out there that are going to do it for conservation efforts, like yourself, and the ones that, I go out with, other than you, in the Midwest, they're very conscientious of it. So, I didn't know if you'd ever seen that, or, if you were, privy to seeing some of that stuff. I imagine you have, but,
oh man, it happens all the time. What it is there's a fine line of how it can change two ways after you drop that bird. It's hunting all the way until the point where a pull of the trigger, full send some steel shot through the freaking cosmos and lays the smackdown on a freaking mallet. All right.
Right.
On a 5-pound mallet. So is it harvesting at that point, or are you wasting?
Oh yeah.
And there's other words you can, substitute wasting with, but we'll just use that one.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we got to go back to our foundation when we were cavemen, and we're like hunting and gathering to survive.
Right.
If you were one of the hunters, then you were going out there to harvest,
right,
and to provide,
right,
and to feed. And so now here's a lot of things that'll happen. So I've got guys that'll come out and want to shoot these bluebills. Ooh, the bluebill. Man, I'm telling you, whether you call them scout blackheads, broadbills, like up in the New York area, oh my God, they're getting crushed with some snow right now, aren't they?
Like 4 feet and 6 feet in certain areas. God, it's crazy. But anyway.
And so, they come out here and they want the feathers where it's like a zebra on their back.
Yeah.
It's like the little white and black fine feathers, and they tie flies and make zebra midges out of them.
All right, that's kind of cool. But, that I have to admit, that's pretty damn cool, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a lot of guys, Mikey, that are like, oh, I want to, stack the freezer so I can train my new dog that I'm getting, she's a pup. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to use.
Right.
And
right.
So, let's remember Littlefoot here. Let's use what we hunt and, harvest.
Don't waste it. Don't waste it.
Yeah, absolutely, brother man.
But so with that being said, I imagine you sent me a pretty quick video of you and your 32 by 8 foot, blind there. So obviously you're brushing in blinds right about now, or you probably already have, right?
Yeah, you can never have too much brush on blinds.
Right.
So we're going to be steady adding more and more.
Yeah. Hey, you constantly improving your foxhole, right? So that's the way to go.
Oh yeah.
So, what have you been seeing from the ducks? I know we've had this cold snap, and I can tell you from being out Midwest, there's Kansas, Missouri have been through a massive drought this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what the fly zone looks like, because a lot of the ponds are dried up. A lot of the ponds are, they're half the size what they were, and they're not, they don't contain the same grubs that they're looking for, or the same feed, or, but what they do have going for them out there is a lot of farmers took crop damage insurance. So they just, they just pushed over the crop, which, helps out the ducks, at least the geese, maybe not necessarily ducks, but certainly helps out the geese. Cranes and things like that, they'll come in as well. But, so, the overall, granted it was early in the season there, but, overall it got cold. I heard the specs, saw some geese. It's not what I was expecting, but what are you seeing this year here on the East Coast? Hopefully it's good. Hopefully, what do you think about this year's season?
Yeah, so I'm super excited about it. It's one of those deals where I kind of, you can try to play the patterns of what happens year after year after year. I'm more of a weather rock guy,
right?
As I've aged and I guess evolved or adjusted. We always got to have audibles. We've got to be able to call that Omaha ordeal, right?
Right.
So what it is we've seen a good amount of Canada geese, a lot of bigger geese, but also some lessers that are in the Southern James Bay population zone that we're in. And as far as ducks go, we literally had a huge push the night before opening day on Wednesday. And so we were scouting, and we're seeing a decent amount of ducks. What we have in the marsh right now is we have pintails, mallards. A majority of those bigger ducks are pintails. We have a decent number of mallards for this time of the year. Only a handful of black ducks though. And there's some gadwalls and maybe some bonus widge flipping around. Widgeon usually hang out with the gray ducks down on the river where I hunt. And a really nice bonus is we have some green winged teal in the marsh right now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, it's something where they come laughing and screaming through.
Yep.
You got to be able to, long lead and a quick player. Here we go.
Yeah,
and,
for sure. Yeah, that's a 200 mile an hour bird.
You
almost
blast
like
three times with your eyes closed. Did I get anything? Here we go.
Nope. That was about the most expensive miss ever. But yeah, same thing with buffleheads. The buffles get in there, and I mean they come screaming 100 miles an hour. You're not decoying those guys in. You just shoot them as they pass. So
the little buffalo soldier boys and girls.
They are cool though.
The buff bagwells, the teal of the diver duck.
Right, there you go.
Absolutely, they are cool. A lot of people say that they're trash birds. I'm gonna tell you one thing right now. Let's see if anybody can throw up a double or a triple on some freaking buffies. That's what I want to do.
You pull that off, you have accomplished something.
Well, somebody's in the UFO layout boat and they triple on bufflehead. That would be freaking stellar.
So tell us about these UFO layout boats real quick. I was going to get to this a little bit later, but I wanted, now that we've talked about it, you got to tell people what these UFO layout boats are.
Oh man, these are the freaking deal, man. They are awesome. So, which our conversation is going to be all over the place,
right? Of course, of course. For that, Mark's not here to keep us grounded, so.
Yep. Here we go. So, all right, it's the UFO layout boat is pretty much the closest thing you can get to a sink box. There's only 2 spots in the country anymore, or in the continent, where you can hunt sink boxes. I think it's a county in North Carolina or the Carolinas, and it's also a county in like the Brunswick area of Canada or something, that the far eastern side of Canada. Anyways, so in a sink box, you lay flush below the water. It's super, super sneaky and deadly. A layout boat, it's kind of the same thing, but it's above the water. You're super, super flush. Think a field goose layout / coffin blind.
Yep.
But as like a little flat coffin boat that's painted gray, and it's like maybe a foot above water, and it's wide. It's in like a wide round shape, so it kind of uses, it doesn't have any sharp edges for like shadowing. And what happens with it is these diver ducks, these river ducks, bluebills, canvasbacks, redheads, and buffleheads, I'm telling you, they don't even know they're there. And so you go out there and you throw out now mind you, it's a pretty big ordeal to get something going like that. Like people that I know that fun hunt and whatever you call them, there's a lot of names for them all over the place.
Yeah.
Hunters. How about that? That's a good name.
That's a good name for it. We'll leave it at hunters.
And, and so they might mess with one single 1-man layout boat. They might mess with like one double 2-person layout boat kind of deal. But it's one of those deals where you've got to have 4, 5, 6 buddies in your group, at least 4. And if you just have like 3, it's a lot of, doing this and that to, where you can just go hunt out of the boat blind, or you can just go hunt out of a stationary blind or hunt offshore. The nice thing about us running it is we've got the guides and the assistants that are already doing it. And so the Gregs and the shooters, they just hop on in and just pop, here we go. And just start blasting. What's that one like last year they had a Danny DeVito gift where he had his 2 little pistols and he's like, so I started blasting. That's what the Gregs do in these layout boats. I mean, I get out of their way in the tender boat. I'm like not even 80 yards away, and they're like, wow, 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 wow. I'm like, oh my God.
Ducking for cover,
They get, these birds work. So another thing is like, so here's something that people will hear while they're hunting out of the layout boats with me. They'll hear me screaming at them, let them work.
Yep.
Let them pass 3 times.
Right.
What are you doing? They're too far. You're shooting at them at it. Because everybody gets excited.
They do.
And they, these birds in a layout boat, they'll get 10 feet away from you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a saying for that. Well, and it's kind of funny because when I first started duck hunting, I was like that, right? And the people around me, the people around me were the same way, and our poor guides were sitting there like, Jesus, man, you had like 45 of them coming in behind those and you ruined the whole set, but they were really cool. They didn't say a word to us, but I've gotten to the point now where I don't pull a trigger until I hear the guide say, kill them ducks, and you have to have, number one, that's because I trust the guides that I'm with, right? I go with good guides like yourself. I go with, really top quality outfitters, and I have the trust that they are that they're doing what's best. They see what's going on. They've seen how these things are going. And you can pretty much tell right off the get-go, if you're with a guide, maybe he's a little bit junior and he's trying to get some ducks in the blind and make everybody happy or whatever, or maybe you're with two sets, you've got your group and another group in the same blind, and it's a mixed group, and you got some newbies in there, and they want, they come in and they don't have that trust or the understanding, or they're just super excited to come out and just shoot some ducks. All of that plays into a part of it, and giving people crap about the blinds, and you could have, who shot that? You shot that? No, I shot that. All of that stuff. It's all part of the game. Part of the fun of duck hunting, I think. So.
Oh yeah, there is definitely a huge difference in somebody who prefers deer hunting and sitting in a tree and leave me the heck alone, and other people who are like, dude, as soon as Johnny gets in the freaking blind, my guy, we're gonna pull this little like Benelli bolt down and up again. So when and then when it's a single bird, just let Johnny get that duck, Johnny. Click. Oh man, everybody's all laughing and everything.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, it's that Drake black duck that was his dream duck, and he's like, I hate you guys. Oh yeah.
Of course. You see so many dreams just shattered in the middle of duck season. It's so cool. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we talked about the UFO blinds, and one of the things I wanted to ask is, I've seen them. I know what they're talking. I know what you're talking about, but and for people who've never been in like one of the field layout blinds, the coffin blinds type things, that can be a little bit intimidating if you have a little bit of claustrophobia. If you're not really kind of into that whole closed up type thing, that can be a little difficult. Have you had people who run into those problems? And if you have, what do you do? Maybe you haven't.
No, so it's definitely not something you would want to do for somebody's first duck hunt.
Right.
What it comes down to is it's the 99% of the people who try waterfowl hunting that catch the bug versus the 1% that don't.
Yep.
And so, there might be some deals where we've got like a business party out, and one of the guys, like the boss's assistant's just there because he's like, man, I'd rather be golfing or like whatever.
Yeah.
And like maybe something like that. I tell you what, everybody that we've had running out of there, we tested it out. But the last 10 days of the season last year, I had one of them, and we were just kind of trying to see how the shoe fits. And, you go out there and you set them out, and you try to intercept these birds and stuff. And everybody that want like the Gregs and the clients and the shooters we had, everybody was so pumped to finally try it because it's like a bucket list thing.
Oh yeah.
South America, Canada, flooded timber in Arkansas, layout boat hunting and open water. It's a bucket list thing to do.
It is.
And so, I've had some big guys that are worried about how they would be all tied up like a can of sardines in there. They, like, here's the other thing, Mikey, they're not in that boat for a long time.
Right.
Now if they're specific where they're like, well, I'm not shooting anything but this type of duck. Well,
Well, good on you. You've probably been duck hunting before. If you're that specific and that's all you want, then good on you. But I don't know.
And so, but that's also more on my part when I'm coordinating versus what the guides do out there, whether it's the marsh guides or it's the layout boat guides, the captains. What are they looking for? Are they looking for a bull pintail stud to put on the wall, or are they looking for a bull canvas back to put on the wall? Are they looking to just shoot?
Right.
Are they looking for table fare? Are they looking, and so out of those options, it's either timing of when they book for a canvasback, end of January, timing of when they book for a pintail, December and beginning of January. And then if they want to just shoot, anywhere around the beginning of the season, when it opens up, when the birds are all fired up out there, and then more so after the bluebill limit goes from 1 to 2 a man, because that's what our primary river duck is out there, are the bluebills. Or if they want table fare, then maybe we'll try to do a field goose hunt on one of the ponds we have out in the southern James Bay zone, and then maybe we'll get in on some bonus ducks and some geese. Geese are very, very good table fare. You just got to have the recipes, or you got to have this or whatnot. Gordon Ramsay has some amazing ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or that would be like a puddle duck marsh hunt, where instead of transitioning out to the layout boats around lunchtime, they stay in the marsh until 3.
Right.
And then we try to get as many mallards or pintail or black ducks. You can only shoot one pintail, man. But, we try to finish out the limit with puddle ducks.
Right.
Which we also shoot bonus geese in the marsh a lot too.
Sure.
Yeah.
So your marsh hunts, I want to kind of clarify some of this stuff too for some folks. I grew up in, hunting in like marshes in Alabama, Louisiana, stuff like that. The wooded, true, wooded duck hunts. You're looking at like legitimate like marsh, with blinds, and you're not sitting out there in waders and waiting for something to kind of hoping that you don't fall and slip and fall and bust your butt and fill your waders full of water and all that stuff. You're I've seen your 32 footer, but do you ever do any of that type of hunting where you're sitting out in the in the wooded areas and slugging it out in the waders all day and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, there's we have access to a private marsh down south of us. It's like east of Fredericksburg. And it is some Virginia flooded timber swamp hunting. It is awesome. And they're loaded up with some wood ducks right now. Funny story, the landowner sitting there deer hunting, he hunts before work. And it's like last Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He calls me on the Friday, Mikey. And he's like, "Dadgum, burn it, Travis. I'm telling you one thing right now. Here we go." And I'm like, "What do you got, brother man?" And he goes, "Man, I've been sitting in the one stand behind the hoop. And I'm going to tell you one thing right now." And he's like, "Man, so he's hunting the stand, Mikey, that's right by, he's got like 7 holes in his swamp that he wood duck hunts out of.
Right.
And so he's hunting one of he's doing what I would do if I was hunting freaking timber goats.
Right.
For crying out loud. I'd get where there's a chance of me scouting and watching ducks.
Of course.
There we go. And there's probably 8 pointers, 10 pointers, 12 pointers. How many pointers? Nobody's giving me the pointer to watch for deer instead of freaking ducks. How many were walking by me? I know the one I saw, I stood up and pulled the bow back, and the one I didn't see went, and then freaking they all ran off.
There you go.
Like, you know what? I'm scrolling Facebook. And so, but anyway, so he calls me on the Friday and he goes, he saw like 30, 40 wood ducks or something on the Wednesday and on the Thursday. But then on the Friday, he jumps out 100, and then he sees at least over 150 go screaming through when shooting light would start.
Oh, wow. So
I bet there was some 8, 10, 12 pointers walking by him on that morning too, on Friday morning.
That's cool.
But he was all fired up about it. That was right before the whole hurricane ordeal just happened.
Right.
Yeah. And so, but the ducks in the marsh and on the river we got, that all came from the cold front after the hurricane. It switched from the southeast winds to a hard northwest wind.
Yep.
And boy, did it bring the cold. Now, it brought 30-degree cold. Now, this overnight deal, last night and tonight and tomorrow night, it's going to be in the 20s.
Yeah. And that's going to be amazing.
There's a lot of snow up north.
Yep.
So how many are going to stop in a mid-state Pennsylvania?
Right.
How many are going to stop in that part of Maryland? They're more likely to hook over eastbound in that part of Maryland, but the ones that don't are coming right down to us.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, and that's what people, the one thing I think people forget about, or they kind of sleep on a little bit here, is that if you look at look at the fly zone that we have here, the East Coast, Maryland, Eastern Shore, specifically has hands down one of the best duck hunting populations in the world. And people don't realize just how much is there in Maryland and filters down to Virginia and a little bit further north into Pennsylvania. So, this fly zone is truly amazing. And the different ducks, they home here and they do that. And from a conservation effort, we've got the Ducks Unlimited folks that are doing a lot to preserve wetlands and making sure that we've got to continue that opportunity. That opportunity continues. And is available for us to hunt and have these, amazing ducks coming in. That's for, coming in to be able to, hell, if you've never seen a wood duck, a legitimate wood duck, that's the prettiest, in my opinion, probably one of the prettiest animals on the planet.
And one of the funnest, talk about that time of the duck hunting season.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Oh yeah.
That, that October sesh.
Yeah.
That rush that everybody, oh my goodness,
on
we've
fire.
been dreaming about it all off season.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's good limits for them. 3 a man. That's awesome.
Yep.
You can go in there, and so what you were just saying about the Atlantic Flyway right there, especially in the heart of it, the Chesapeake Bay watershed, the DMV, the Delmarva. So I hear a lot of man, there ain't no access. Man, I can't go hunting anywhere. It's all locked up tighter than a gobbler out of gun range. Yeah, the rivers are locked up tight with blinds and stuff. In Virginia, it's been a tradition that's been passed on for year and generation after generation after generation. There's watermen on the 5 rivers of Virginia that have their blind sites that are going to be, and not only to their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, beyond that, unless it changes and whatnot. And, that's one thing that probably will not change, is that strong tradition in Virginia. Maryland. The thing about Maryland that a lot of people don't realize, and these goes out for all the people who say, I ain't got no hunting spots, man. It's not fair, man. Everything's, blah, blah, blah. All you really need to do is either not be afraid to walk and hike, or not be afraid to take out a loan and get a boat.
There you go.
So, and it also may require somebody to not, curl a nose hair at a sea duck or a river duck.
Right. Exactly. If
I'm in certain parts of the country that's got, there's a bunch of states that are shooting the crap out of mallards right now.
Oh yeah.
Let's say, Missouri. If I'm used to hunting the flooded corn impoundments in the public raffle system where you get you try to draw your daily pill to be able to get a blind sight in one of the flooded corn impoundments, you can hunt until like 1 or 2 or something. Yep. You know a lot about that kind of stuff.
Oh, I do, for sure.
I'm not going to be like, man, I really wish I had some canvasbacks and some bluebills up in here.
Yeah.
Anybody, man, what I do to shoot an old squaw or a scoter? I'd be all about shooting mallards and pintails and gavel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so over here, it's you got to go after what we have,
right?
And we have an abundance of diver ducks and a sea ducks.
Yep.
That is very fun shooting.
Oh yeah,
and very fun hunting, and it's great time out on the water.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that that kind of goes to tell people too. for example, if you want to hunt elk, you probably are not going to do it in Virginia. I mean, yes, they're repopulating elk, but you want to hunt an elk, go to Colorado, go to Missouri, or go to Montana, go to Wyoming, go to Arizona, New Mexico, go to one of those places.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's what you're going there. Enjoy, that's the whole part of that hunt is going out there, enjoying a different area. It's like traveling and being able to see the outdoors in a different place. Well, if you're coming over here and you want to shoot some ducks in a major fly zone in this massive estuary and have this amazing time, come do it. Don't turn your nose up at something. I've never shot a pintail. You and I are going pintail hunting, and
I can't wait.
I look forward to putting that one on the wall, and sitting there and talking about it over a glass of 12-year whistle pig or something like that, and saying, "Yep, me and Travis went out and whatever happened." There's always that story that goes along with it, and people need to have that appreciation for it. But and I think for the most part, people do. At least I do. And, I hope, through this podcast and getting people involved or excited about going out and at least trying it, go try to duck hunt, see what you can come up with. I promise you, it's the most addictive thing on the planet, next to turkey hunting. But, this is truly, it becomes a way of life. And you sit in some of these wooded areas or marshes or blinds that are sitting in wherever it might be in Chicoteague or James River or whatever it is, and you're surrounded by an environment that very few people get to see and enjoy on a daily basis, and then you get to see some of the prettiest, most amazing waterfowl on the planet come by. And if you're good enough, you might get one or two. And, if you're not, well, you should have just enjoyed the fact that you were out there and you got to see them come by. So
exactly. It's about the chase and the hunt.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Mikey. There are a lot of options out here. You could go from, what you're mentioning, the Chicoteague and the Assateague booby box blinds out there.
Yep.
And then you could also, do something with like the watermen of Tillman Island or the watermen of, St. Michael's area. Then the goose hunting, even though, yes, it's going through a one goose a man limit or whatnot, but there's a lot of tradition and heritage in those field goose hunts
For
out
sure.
there, both, Maryland and Delaware. Delaware has phenomenal public duck hunting.
Yeah.
It's on a lottery system, but it is amazing. They have impoundments that, it's not really flooded corn impoundments, but it's got natural, feed, a feed form in there, a lot of smartweed and a lot of, different other vegetations and crustaceans that they pick off of there and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
There's the, body booting with the big Susquehanna flat rigs.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a bucket list thing that a lot of people want to do too.
For sure. Hog Island, same deal. Absolutely.
The wood duck swamp hunting in Virginia and the, sea duck hunting in both Virginia and Maryland.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I've heard guys going down, for those of you that don't know, the Great Dismal Swamp is legitimately a real thing. And it's, in Southern Virginia going towards, Suffolk and headed towards North Carolina, and people going to Outer Banks have probably been through it. I've heard there is some of the most amazing wood ducks or duck hunting in the Great Dismal Swamp, that's on a bucket list for a lot of people that I know. So, you get out and try it, it's an enjoyable sport. And even if it's, the part that I like the most about it is you can get in a blind and laugh and joke and carry on. And, my wife is, she's a great person to pick on, but, and she gives it right back at you in the blinds. And that's kind of cool. And it's enjoyable regardless if you may only see 5 or 6 ducks. You might not see any, hopefully that's not the case. But, if you get into that environment, it's something that you can do as a group. You can laugh and carry on until your guide says, "All right, everybody look down. They're coming in. Don't look up." And then you finally hear them say, "All right, shoot them ducks." And you stand up and you see, whatever you see, and chances are you're looking for the speckle bellies and shooting those first, or shoot from the top down, or whatever it is that you do, right? So. But it's people like you that make that available to us. And it's something that we talk about a lot on this. If you've never done something and you're nervous about doing it, well, go find a guide. Go find people like yourself and go out and go duck hunting. And see what it's about. It's one of the more amazing things about getting out and duck hunting. So. We also wanted to kind of, we were kind of talking about this, and there's more to come on this, but we're going to give away two spots in a blind with one of our duck hunts with you to some of our listeners, and there's more to come on it. We'll get more. Awesome. Yeah, so it's an opportunity for people to come in. Learn, and have an opportunity to really go out, shoot some ducks, see what you're about, let them meet the man, the myth, the legend. People are starting to, they're starting to believe you're not real, that, you're just some voice on the other side. So we've got to fix that. And so we want to make sure people have that opportunity. And it doesn't take much. Go out and, you have half day hunts, you have full day hunts, you have other guides, guide services if you're full, that you work with. So how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way, what's your social media stuff? And if you're full, what do you do? What should somebody do if they just can't get in with my man, Travis?
So, I appreciate you so much, Mikey. Thank you. You always hype me up, man. I love it. So on Facebook is the main, social media deal that a lot of people find me on. My personal profile, Travis Stauch, Stauch. Ramrod Bowfishing has a Facebook page as well that is transitioning into the Ramrod Waterfowl time of the year. So yeah, we run half-day field goose hunts from November through February. We run early season duck hunts, half-day early season duck hunts. It's like the October, November deal right now. And then the main jam of Ramrod Waterfowl is the full-day third split duck and goose hunt combos on the river. So
yeah, those sound awesome.
Yeah, man. You get to hunt out of stationary blinds in the Pintail Marsh, and then there's the option to transition into the UFO layout boats. There's also the option to stay in the marsh, which is probably what you and I are going to do. And then the half day field goose hunts. It is amazing, the operation and the crew. The guides are top notch that run with me.
How many you got going with you?
So we have, for the field goose hunts, we have 4 with the 5th. That's kind of more like, he's there to guide too, but he also, helps mainly scout and whatnot. So we have 5 guys with the field goose hunting, and then with the duck hunting operation, we have 2 layout boat captains. One's a master captain. That's Master Captain Anthony Cubbage, who also runs Atomic Fishing. Awesome buddy of mine. Can't say enough good about him. He is just a top notch, like the entertainment and the hospitality side. I tell him all the time, "You got me beat on that," and he's like, "No way," and blah blah blah. We'll go back and forth. So we have 2 layout boat guides, and then we have 5 guides for the marsh, and then one of those marsh guides can also switch out for the layout boat guide. So altogether, it's 13 guides running plus me.
Man, you gotta. It's a monster, man. That's a lot of folks to run this operation. That is too cool, though.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. And so, we definitely have room to be able to get people out. There's been a lot of times in the last, good grief, almost decade now, where people, by the time hunting season starts, there's only a few spots left. Yeah. And I'm telling people from like November, December, January, no.
Yeah.
And so now we do have room, and we can definitely, we are booked up beyond my gills. But I don't want to say no to people this year. It's just on specific dates. And like a lot of people want to do a half day duck hunt in December. I'm not going to do that. It's just one of those deals where,
right.
We do the full day hunting because I want to try to get full duck straps and duck totes for everybody. That's what they're paying for is
right.
to shoot, and so, doing that in a little 2-3 hour half day hunt. I mean, I've tried with other outfitters that I've had. I've been blessed to be able to have the mentors I've had.
Sure.
I'm blessed to be able to have the community back me up how they do and support me. I'm blessed to have a pinto marsh and access to a private pinto marsh that's not going anywhere. And, I'm the only guy who has access to it. And, the pinto is what made my name.
Yep.
In the future, so like next year and the year after, Wild Valley Outfitters up in Saskatchewan, Canada. That's like a September, October deal. That's actually a spot where you pretty much have a guarantee that one or two of those 5 hunts in a 3-day package, I'm going to be guiding with you.
Right.
For you. And then also there's a lot of stuff that, you've helped me out a tremendous amount with, talking to me about Kansas and stuff.
Yep.
And so that would be like a November to December deal. And then that would turn Virginia into a January deal where there's, plenty of opportunity to go and chase whatever you could possibly want to do with the waterfowl hunting. And I mean, this ride has been amazing and it's just starting. It really is.
It's cool. It's cool. Now, I appreciate you, brother. I heard everything about that, but at no point in time did I ever hear the name Lindsay, who's actually the one who's running all of this stuff, right? She's
doing she is awesome for being able to run the numbers and make sure everything's all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. The candied pecans are being made for the third split full day hunt. The groceries for the Unky Trap Duck Line breakfast sandwiches and the Ramrod dogs and burgers.
Right.
Going to be good to go. Yeah, man. It's definitely, it takes a town, a community. Yeah. It takes everybody. Yeah. To be a good man upstairs. My dad for dealing with my annoying young toddler behind with the duck hunting and this and that and screwing up. Dude, when I was a kid and I was hunting with my dad and his buddies, if I missed a duck, I'd start crying.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad's like, oh, geez, I've got the kid that cries after he misses a duck, but it was him, and he put a duck call and a goose call in my mouth and was like, you're going to be doing that. And now people are like, I love doing the video lessons for duck and goose calling. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I've seen them, so I'm very, very impressed. So, with that being said, one of the things I wanted to make sure that people understand now, you are a full service outfitter. And what I mean by that is, you cook, in certain circumstances, you cook breakfast sandwiches in blinds, when the time's right. And, you do a lot of neat things. But one of the things that you do not do, and I had the unfortunate, aspect of this is, when you go out, you're with a guide, and that guide has a call, and that call, and they're going to be telling you when to shoot, when not to shoot. They're going to be telling you, they're going to be calling ducks in. They're going to set the layout or the decoys out if they're going to do decoys and all of that stuff. You're not that guy who goes out and drops them off in a blind and says, we'll see you in 4.5 hours, 5 hours, right?
Yeah, so, that's kind of tough, especially with insurance. They're kind of like, all right, so the layout booth thing, you're like watching them like, how far away? And I'm like, we're right there on them. Don't worry.
Right.
And that's just another ordeal of what are you looking for? So if you're looking for something like that, go to Assateague or Cheekateague and then go out and hunt those little box blinds.
Right.
And, be set up for it, be ready for it. I have a group of buddies that do that every year.
Right.
And it's hilarious because they bring their own, 4-way walkie-talkie set, and they make sure the guide has one of theirs, not one of the guys.
Right.
So they always check in on them because there are fascinating horror stories. That are like, wait, what? We're out there for 11 hours. You know?
Yeah, no idea. And the main reason why I wanted to bring that up is, for somebody who's interested in getting into duck hunting, number one, it can be a little bit, it can be a lot overwhelming. But number two, if you don't know how to call, a guide throws you out in the middle of a blind and says, "Oh, good luck," and leaves, that's a disappointment. And it's also, an apprehension that people shouldn't have when they go with you. They know that you've got good, good guides out there. You've got guides that are going to be doing the calling. And I'm sure that they probably wouldn't, they're not going to shy away from somebody else who wants to try and learn how to call, and that's part of the blind too. Get in there and hear some god-awful turkey, or god-awful duck calls, but that's how you get better at it, and so, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure we touched on that before we jump off of here, is that, people shouldn't be apprehensive, go out, and that's why we encourage people, find a good blind, a good guide, get in a duck blind, go shoot some ducks, listen to call, go on YouTube, watch Travis, teach you how to call, then go screw it up about 4 million times until you figure it out. This is, that's what it's supposed to sound like. And there's a lot of different things to that, but I want, I don't ever want somebody to think, oh, well, I don't know how to duck call, so I'm not going to go duck call. Or I'm not going to go duck hunting. Well,
absolutely not. Don't worry about that at all.
So
that is, and like on that note, some of the most memorable duck hunts I've had in my career has been those hunts where it's like a father and his, son, and then his neighbor and the neighbor's nephew.
Yeah.
And like, early morning flight, we drop a few ducks. Cool. Nothing spectacular. And then it ends up being a bluebird morning as the sun comes up and there's not a cloud in the sky. It's a high pressure system day and the ducks just aren't flying.
Right.
But there's been so many times where those two kids in this hypothetical story where we'll just start messing around on the calls. And then, they'll start blowing on the duck call or the goose call, and I'll get them to be able to crack the goose call over where they can do a honk.
Yep.
And then they go, wait a minute. And that was crisp and clean. I'm talking Mr. Clean. And then they go honk, 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 honk. And now, boom, they have an interest in it. And I remember one time, oddly enough, it was like a father and his son or something, or his nephew, or it was like an uncle and his nephew and like the guy's neighbor, whatever. And I was, as we were done hunting, I'm like, man, I'm so sorry about the weather. And, I'm doing my whole thing about, man. And they're like, look, Travis, we done shot a couple ducks. And I think, we were in the marsh. And so they got some good eating ducks. Mm-hmm. And they were so appreciative of the calling lessons in the blind. Yeah. And it wasn't like it was messing up anybody's hunt.
Right.
Because the ducks just turned off.
Right.
We were sitting
and
there
they do
for
that.
2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but those kids and the fact that they now were more interested in it, because, these kids nowadays, they're on like their phones or something, or their iPads or whatever.
Hell, it's not just the kids anymore. It's a grown ass adult. So,
Yeah. And so, get out there and experience it. And it's one of those deals where I challenge anybody out there that has not tried duck hunting to at least try it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to end up absolutely
it's so addictive. It is so addictive. All right, my man. We're officially out of time, and but I do want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's always amazing to sit here and talk with you, and especially short notice. I know you're busy, but man, I cannot say thank you enough for having us. For those who are listening, go check him out on his social media. Go get one of his duck blinds. Get a duck hunt scheduled with him. And go and enjoy just a good day of ducks, and maybe we work out some type of like I said, we're going to work out having a couple people in the blind as a giveaway here shortly. More to come on that, and things like that. But man, Travis, thank you so much. You kind of especially last minute, my friend. I can't say thank you enough.
Oh, dude, I was fired up when you sent me the text, man. I'm like, oh, what do you mean? Just sit there and talk about hunting? Oh, man, we can do that. No problem.
Well, next time we'll try to get the video. We had the video working, but the gremlins got us this time. So
you had some good blooper footage of me just sitting there, like,
oh, I'm telling you.
And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, they're doing this on purpose because they're recording everything right now.
Of course, that's the way it goes. So, but as always, my friend, thanks again, and we'll see you on the 26th for sure, and give our best out to Lindsay as well, and tell her she's much appreciated in this whole operation, and hopefully we'll see her as well.
I appreciate you, Mike. Yeah, man, please say the same over to Allie and Mark. And I hope Mark feels better.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get him some emergency vitamin C and some, vitamins and whatnot in them.
Right.
Get better.
Yeah, I hope so. So, Mark, if you're listening, you hear it from both of us. Feel better, my friend. And all right, and with that, we'll let everybody go. We appreciate you spending some time with us, and glad that you all listened. And for that, take a kid out hunting. You got youth hunts, you've got duck days, you've got plenty of opportunities. And if you're not a hunter, go fishing. Even though it's cold, go out there and have a good one. And with that, I'll tell everybody, bye, everybody.
You've been listening to The Hunting Quest. No matter how crazy, high-tech, or lazy the rest of the country gets, we will always be hunting and fishing. If that's you, you've found your new family. Thanks to our sponsor, Davis Guns and Gear. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. Reach out to us by email at info@thehuntingquest.com and check us out on Instagram and YouTube at The Hunting Quest. See you next time.